stepping in
spectacular,
as well.
over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where he is.
Time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
It's likely that one big shot's going to land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to get to later rounds.
Joe Rogan reacted to Jake Paul's knockout loss with laughter, while alongside Anthony Joshua, describing the fight as a clear mismatch from the very beginning. Rogan explained that Jake is typically matched against retired fighters or MMA competitors, not a legitimate Olympic-level heavyweight champion. He emphasized that Joshua is not only an elite boxer, but also operates far above Jake's natural weight class from a realistic boxing standpoint. Rogan said the outcome was obvious well before the opening bell, and the final result merely confirmed what was already expected.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the head.
Following the fight, Anthony Joshua delivered a firm post-fight message stating that the knockout actually spared Jake Paul. He explained that if the bout had gone on longer, he would have broken him down both mentally and physically. Joshua suggested that the early stoppage prevented further damage from being done in the ring.
Fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jay, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct...
Anthony Joshua being linked to what many describe as a so-called circus fight with Jake Paul has immediately split opinion across the boxing world. A large portion of fans view it as a spectacle rather than a true sporting contest, with the differences in size, experience, and pedigree impossible to overlook. Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion and an Olympic gold medalist, while Jake Paul is still developing as a boxer. Because of that, the matchup feels more like entertainment designed for attention and numbers than a legitimate boxing challenge, which is why critics dismiss it as a circus instead of a real fight. Simon Jordan reacted strongly after Anthony Joshua broke Jake Paul's jaw with a knockout, stating that the entire event was harmful to boxing's credibility.
Industry, because straight after the fight, I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, you know, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again, and he's going to fight possibly February, March, and then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about. And that's what he's done. And
he argued that fights like this blur the boundary between genuine sport and pure spectacle, pulling focus away from meaningful competition. Jordan stressed that Joshua has already secured generational wealth and cemented his legacy, meaning he has no need for novelty matchups. Even if a fight with Tyson Fury never materializes, Jordan added that Joshua's financial security makes the idea of stepping away from the sport entirely far from shocking.
earning more than Joshua. That apart, Spencer, 6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed 1 clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that, and I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment, and that was pretty much it. But not entertainment that many people enjoyed. If I'm honest, I think that people wanted to see a demolition job.
Joe Rogan praised Anthony Joshua by pointing to his speed, athletic ability, and devastating power. Rogan explained that Joshua moves like a much lighter fighter despite competing at heavyweight, and possesses one-punch knockout power that can change a fight in an instant. He described Joshua as a nightmare matchup due to how quickly he can close distance and finish exchanges. According to Rogan, these qualities make it unrealistic for crossover fighters to compete with him at a serious level.
But this is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is
he is the
terrifying.
thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch.
Adam Booth offered a brutally honest assessment, noting that Jake Paul did manage to make Anthony Joshua miss at certain moments, which he viewed as significant. Booth said Jake's movement and positioning showed improvement and discipline, forcing Joshua to reset rather than land shots freely. While he made it clear that this did not mean Jake was winning, Booth acknowledged that creating hesitation against an elite heavyweight is notable and reflects progress in Jake's development. Continuing his breakdown, Booth explained that causing a fighter like Joshua to miss is not accidental and requires preparation, timing, and confidence. He added that Jake's footwork and ability to remain composed under pressure deserved recognition. However, Booth stressed that these moments did not change the overall reality of the fight, as Joshua's class, power, and experience ultimately determined the outcome once he found his opening.
An Ngannou type fight. Yeah, Ngannou, he's got balls. Ngannou's got balls, man. He went out there and he tried to fight, tried to win. Jake Paul didn't try to win at any point during the fight. He was just trying to survive. I think that's actually ultimately going to hurt him with boxing fans.
Yeah, what do you think, Paulie? I mean, you talked about the in and out kind of style, kind of hits and runs, and you said that A, it runs out your legs. He was exhausted a couple rounds into the fight, and B, it only saved him for so long.
He doesn't have the boxing skills to box on the move anyway. Once I saw the big ring, I knew he was going to run for his life. When you're that much of a novice, which obviously it's not even an insult to him, it's just lack of experience. But when you're that much of a novice, you either know how to run for your life or fight all out. You don't have that in between yet. You haven't developed enough of that in between boxing acumen to really pull that off. And so what ends up happening? You're either going to fight your ass off and you'll last a minute. Chris, you're being generous. Round 2, he would have got knocked out in round 1 if he would have fought. But at least he would have fought. He would have got the respect of the people and more importantly, the boxing community instead of these clowns that follow him and are still defending him. Now what happens is you didn't get any respect as a fighter. You didn't get any respect as a fighter because you didn't try to fight at all. If he would have, I was watching that through 2-3 rounds. I'm thinking to myself, this guy would do this for 8 rounds if he can. If he can do this for 8 rounds, absolutely not fight at all, absolutely not engage a single time in 8 rounds, he will actually do this. And he'll do it shamelessly. And that's the problem. That's the problem. The shamelessness of his approach to the fight. You're gonna be a fighter, then don't make an ass out of the whole sport, out of the whole business, and out of yourself first and foremost. Because in the end, what happens? You got his jaw broke anyway. So what ends up happening? What's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get knocked out? You got hurt and you got knocked out anyway, but you just prolonged the inevitable and you got no respect out of it now. Because nobody's respecting that kind of performance. Nobody's respecting a performance where you would totally content to steal money from everyone.
And in the end, the outcome felt unavoidable. What looked like a mismatch on paper unfolded the same way inside the ring. Anthony Joshua's size, speed, and one-punch power made the difference. At the same time, Jake Paul showed moments of improvement, heart, and defensive movement that suggest he is learning but still not prepared to close the gap against an elite, Olympic-level heavyweight. The aftermath highlights two opposing narratives. On one side are critics who see these crossover fights as circus-style spectacles that hurt boxing's credibility. On the other are those who give credit for the mental toughness required to step up and face a genuine challenge. Regardless of perspective, the result reinforced a simple truth that experts repeatedly point to: class, experience, and power decide fights. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time.